All right, guys, well, welcome back to another episode of Midwest Whitetail. We appreciate you joining us this week. As you just saw, myself and Joy shot the Hoyts. Now we're out on a new piece of permission. Very excited to bring this your way in the coming weeks. You know, it's predominantly made up of CRP. Got a lot of rolling topography, and I'm really excited to see what bucks are calling at home. But on this week's episode, we've got an action-packed one for you. We're gonna jump to Lee Abraham. He dives into his strategy for this GQ Junior buck. And one of the things that obviously I have a lot of nostalgia with is he makes a ton of comparisons of why this deer is actually named GQ Junior in relation to that GQ buck we hunted back in 2020. So it's a cool example of using one story to try to bring to a close another. And then following that, we're gonna join Andy Melton, who gives us a brief description on how he and his dad start with acorns, growing them into oak trees on their farm. And then finally, we get a close from Mike and Chad over in Kansas. They're gonna give us a brief introduction of what they found out over there. But before we dive into the show, I wanted to bring attention to one of our partners, Serious Archery. They're doing a summer giveaway with some really awesome prizes. That's including 3 free hunts, a dozen Midwest Whitetail Edition arrows, and you get over 15 ways to enter. All you gotta do, follow the link in our description on this video, or go to one of our social pages, follow the link tree, and you'll find it from there. So, appreciate Serious Archery for doing such an awesome giveaway. Good luck to all of you that go and enter. It's free, there's really no reason not to. So now let's jump over to Lee, see what he's got cooking for GQ Junior.
I couldn't figure out. Let me pick the box up.
Been waiting for this stuff to show up, dude.
This has been a struggle for me the past several months with work. It's just been a lot of things going on at work, and finally able to get down to the farm and spend some time here. And I talk with Caleb all the time, but this is means a lot to me to be out here and to see things and kind of get a feel for things. Here we are on the GQ set. A lot of memories up here for me from 2020. You know, again, our best odds is to be where he has been, where he was yesterday, and where he's been historically. So he's giving us a run for our money. He's winning every time right now, so maybe we'll get lucky. It's about 3 o'clock. We're going to make a move to a plot I call Digits Plots, where I killed last year. He's been there between does on 2 occasions at a rubbing post. Get down, scurry over there, climb up and see if we can catch him coming in before dark. Here he comes, here he comes. With this ridge, I'm looking at this ridge behind me. In 2020, this was all beans. And I had so many encounters with the GQ, but I could not get in within bow range. And the reason is this ridge falls off very sharply. It's hard to access. It's a great, area to see and observe deer, but as far as to kill them in a tree stand or even in a blind, it's a struggle. So in the past, I've really tried to focus on that first November, that first cold front in October, but this time I'm gonna focus on the early food, scrapes, those kind of things. And I've got 3 different spots I wanna focus on today. And as you've seen, the GQ Junior is back on scene this year. Several pictures of him early on. With this deer, I think it's gonna be all about October. He has a similar frame as GQ did back in 20 as far as being super wide, super tall, but more his mannerisms, his characteristics, the way he moves around the farm is more similar than even his frame is. And using that historical data, that knowledge that I've hunting this farm for the past 7 years now, and this plot here, it'll be a strategy for early season. In the past, this is more of a late season observation stat and more of a gun season for my family. But this year we've put radishes here. As you can see, they're coming up. We planted about 5 or 6 days ago. We got a good 1.5 inch rain on Saturday, and they're popping up. So they love that early season radish. October when those beans turn from green to brown. And this will be a first, out of the bed kind of zone for them to feed in and catch them, coming across, get us 25, 30-yard shot at the redneck. Over my shoulder here, if y'all can remember, again, I had multiple encounters with GQ out of that lock-on, out of that big oak tree there. But I never got within 42, 43 yards, despite seeing him multiple times, calling to him. That's just not advantageous for a bow setup. So I'm gonna get on the fringe. I'm gonna back off this ridge some and try to find a tree. So let's go look. We're trying to hunt this and the alfalfa. I mean, there's not one oak tree or shagbark hickory or anything. You're looking 20, I mean, we have GQ footage right here. I mean, he came out right here, he was bedding right across there. He came out, and I think that's the same evening we caught him.
We rattled him, yeah.
Was it that one?
Because he
okay.
came here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was that one or, yeah.
You rattled when we lost sight, he came up the hill.
I wasn't sure if that was that one or the night he would have had that doe down there, but it was a different night, so. This stand is really close to that fence gap. I mean, it's within, that's something I did take away from 2020 and even the year since then, is just as I evolve as a bow hunter. I'm like y'all guys, I'm learning off other people watching YouTube. I'm nobody special. I'm just trying to figure these things out, but this is gonna be in the game, October, green food source, the cold front gives me the best shot to kill him my first time out. So all that being said, we still got to hunt. We're gonna let the cameras talk a little bit here in the early season. I've never had radishes here. I don't know how they're gonna react to that. Never had radishes by the redneck. It's always been more of a late season grain, and we'll see how they react to it by following the cuttybacks. I'm checking these radishes. We got a giant boulder here, Owen. I'm gonna challenge Owen to a strongman competition. Maybe he's a little old for that. Maybe rye. What do y'all think? Let's go, guys. That'll get you fired up right there. That was a big 4-year-old. Did we call split 3? He has been running with GQ. Hopefully he's somewhere in the near vicinity and it's behind him in the next few minutes. So. Walking in, I kind of feel like Owen just want to whisper. It's like hollow ground here to me after those encounters from 2020. But I will say, just the initial feeling or vibe, I guess, is the last 2 spots were on this ridge, and here it's much more quieter and subdued, and it just feels more kind of tucked away and out of the wind. Like kind of that first little feeding site they may want to be at, and obviously we've shown that over the years this is the case. Yeah, I do have photos of him right here about 2 weeks ago. Big left side coming out with a big fork on it. And here I'm holding his shed right here. We got a 15-inch G2 right there, guys. And it was found just across this ridge about maybe 100 yards on a draw. So we know he's here, we know he's been here in the past. And the shagbark here is it's a pretty good spot. The problem is I hunted October 29th the first time, I believe it was, and when I got here it was straightened out, it was bare. It lost all of its leaves, were wide open, exposed, so another advantage of hunting maybe that first week of October if we get him on camera coming through here using that scrape post. So as you can see, the clover is pretty weedy. Hit it with some clepidem, mow it, get these broadleafs out of there. Last year with the drought, it just burned up, and we had to reestablish that this February. And I probably will interseed it as well with the Great Plains and do some extra interseeding. Looking at that tree, we've since moved this scrape post about 15 yards, but I think the only way to get this deer killed is we want to keep this, keep this trail mowed down where it's, that ankle height. So they're going to use it, especially in the October timeframe, least resistant area. But looking at it, I almost want to put another micro green plot beyond this clover to kind of get them kind of funneled through this area going to that destination alfalfa. That's the triangle, the big picture. This is where he is. He's either going to bed here, or there, and it's kind of based on what he's feeding on. Tomorrow, or maybe this evening, get on the tractor and mow this down, spray it, and drill in some different, maybe a radish or maybe a more early season fall plot. And either going to move this to back to where last year he got hit by a tractor, got knocked over, we put it back up. Well, we didn't hunt this farm last year, so we were just getting inventory on the field as more of a camera post. I'm going to move it back in the bow range or use this little locust tree and kind of trim it up and put a rope or put a vine on that one. So I like it. I like the plan. I like it much better than when I walked down here. It goes back to what I said earlier. It's good to see the deer, but to kill him a little more detailed, a little more accurate with our stands and with our strategy. So with that, that's our plan. Whether it works or not, we don't know, but I think we're gonna get eyes on this deer. And man, I hope he does all the things right and gives me the fortune of maybe putting a tag on it, making some memories with him. So thanks for coming along, and let's continue the story.
Well, I don't know about you, but I really hope Lee is able to stick an arrow in GQ Junior this year. For those of you who don't know who we are, my name's Andy Melton.
I'm David Williams.
And we've actually been with Midwest Whitetail for a long time. If you guys follow along with our turkey show, Chasing Red, we've been on there doing a lot of turkey hunting and traveling and hanging out with Chad and the guys. But this year, we're back on the deer side. And honestly, with Drake and Josh coming back on board, it kind of felt like we were just coming home, almost like a family reunion, all of us guys coming back together.
It's definitely a homecoming. And when we got off the phone with, I think Josh and Chad actually called us talking to us about the deer side, because we already do the turkeys with Chasing Red, but when they started talking deer, it just got me fired up. We're gonna try to hopefully drag y'all along on all of our properties that we've been working on for the past few years on what we've been doing to better improve those habitats. I think we got a little segment coming up with Andy talking about our sawtooth oaks. It's never-ending battle that habitat is starting to change, and everybody says, oh, it doesn't look any different than 5 years ago. That's completely wrong. If you don't continue to work and maintain your property, you're not gonna, hold those big bucks and
do some burning, some hinge cutting, some planting.
So we hope to bring you guys all that information throughout the season. On top of, we got a new 600-acre piece that we're gonna probably start developing and managing over the next couple of years that hopefully we'll bring you all that footage as well.
We know some good deer on it, so should be exciting to see how our season turns out. Well, like I said, we're really excited to be back, and I just can't wait to get things kicked off.
I know, I'm ready.
Hey guys, Andy Melton here from Midwest Whitetail, and we get tons of questions and comments all the time about people asking about growing your own oak trees. Is it worth the time and the effort that it takes to get them started? And if you'll actually see any benefit out of them, in the near future. How long does it take before you start seeing those trees produce? Well, my dad's been doing this for the last 5 to 10 years and has been really successful at it. He literally takes everything from the acorns on the ground to seedlings into mature trees. So first off, what we start off with, we decided to go with sawtooth oaks. Deer absolutely love them, first of all. They're quicker growing and they're quicker to produce. So right here behind us, we got this tree. It's a little over 20 years old, about 21 years old, and it produces acorns like crazy. And that was our first decision to use this tree, because we wanted trees that were going to produce fast and produce a lot. This is actually an acorn from one of those trees that they started not long after those had been planted. This tree is about 10 to 12 years old, and as you can see, it is absolutely loaded with acorns this year. Good started. Obviously, the acorns haven't really started to fully develop yet. It's right now the middle of July, so they've still got plenty of time, but this one is absolutely loaded. All right, so by the time we pick the acorns up, Dad actually stores them in the refrigerator in Ziploc bags. He'll take and line this bag with a wet paper towel. You don't have to have anything fancy for potting these plants. Just a really good potting soil. This has actually got the moisture control beads in it just to help hold in a little bit of extra moisture. Dad planted these this spring, So this is about 3 months worth of growing as of right now. We'll put these in the ground in February of March of this year whenever they go dormant. And as you can see here beside me, this tree is about 3 years old. One thing that is very important that I will stress you really need is these sleeves right here. So I've actually got some trees planted on my farm in Tennessee that Dad grew. And the ones that I put in the sleeves are far outdoing the ones that I had outside. You can tell when you go down there, I've got some that are already coming out of the top, and the ones that I planted are still, knee high. So this tree will start producing probably within the next 2 years. It'll have acorns on it. That'll be 5 years in the ground. And I think typical sawtooth oaks start bearing in 5 to 7 years. So any of you all that are out there that are asking if it's worth the time and the effort to plant your own trees, this kind of tells you yes, it is, especially if you have a farm that you plan on, passing down to your kids, or if you just bought a new piece of property and you plan on keeping it for a long time. And this is what you can expect in your first 3 years. It is worth it. Get out there, pick up some acorns, and get them growing.
That's pretty cool seeing Andy have success germinating and propagating those oak trees to make his properties better. As I mentioned on last week's show, we're down here this weekend at our new lease in Kansas, and it's a pretty foreign environment for me. It's basically a giant cattle pasture, very arid area, though this year they've had a lot of rain, so it's pretty green. It's just a bunch of thick cedar draws. There's cacti, sagebrush, and there's not a lot of tillable. And so we've been going around the property this weekend, trying to pinpoint where we want to set up stands, putting up cameras. In fact, Chad got out here a day before I did. And as I mentioned before, he was part of this lease last year, so he has a little bit more intel on it, but he came and set up a stand for a deer he called Bucky last year, and put the camera out, and the very next morning we got a picture of the very buck. So it's pretty cool to see a mature buck already on camera, and I think we're gonna have quite a few more based on talking with the neighbors and learning a little bit about the area. So we're excited to bring that to you on next week's show. I'm getting pretty pumped to get down here for youth season. That opens September 1st. Bella's got a tag. We've got a few more hours of work to get done yet this morning before we head back to Iowa. And probably we'll make one more trip out here in August before the opener. Before we leave you for the day, we're gonna jump over to our partners at UC Hunting Properties. They've got a 360-acre farm listed in Wisconsin, and they have a feature video on that to tell you all about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back next week.
Welcome. I'm Travis Homley with United Country Midwest Lifestyle Properties and UC Hunting Properties. We're on this beautiful 360-acre Waushara County, town of Coloma property today. It's conveniently located off the interstate. You're here in a couple minutes once you get off of I-39. A little over an hour from Madison, Wisconsin, and also Appleton, Wisconsin. Come along with us. I got Kurt Headington with XLM here today that's gonna help me break down this property for you so you can see the potential of this. Kurt, we got some of this, another chunk of this thermals that are up here with all these pines that have been left. I mean, they're getting close to be thinning, but right now they're a great thermal.
Well, and that's the neat thing is, we're going literally from one ecosystem into the next. You start getting into the hardwoods as we're gonna drop down into the bowl and, look at where we were talking about putting some food.
This is what you were talking about, for the start of that big destination food plot?
Yeah, for the north side here, I think this is about where it would start. We'd kind of kidney bean shape it, with some light dozer work heading this way, but end up with somewhere between 2.5, 3 acres. Between the southern exposure and the poplar and the white oaks we got over here, I gotta think you're gonna have a lot of acorns and obviously prime bedding come winter. Going the opposite way, we're in the opposite boat, right? So they'd be pouring out of this side to get out of the sun, and same thing, super thick cover, pour them down into the food, sneak in with the access we discussed. This is a slam dunk spot for a big food plot. Another cool feature on this farm is this railroad. The amount of drop you got here, you could zip in and zip out completely undetected, and then it just falls off into all the main contour. This is a neat feature on this farm.
You know, on the sides of it, it's all nice and thick to, you know, break up your skyline. This pulls right out to the road, so it's easy on, easy out. Set up perfect for this farm for access.
And it's super unique. You just get across the other side of the interstate and it's flat as a pancake. You get over here, you got all the topography to play with and truly turn this into a big buck factory. Right. So excited about this one. It's had minimal hunting pressure in the past. This one's setting up to be a slam dunk for somebody, Trev.
The seller did a great job with managing the overstory of this property. The trail system on this property is extensive. There's miles of trails, great access on 3 different roads, and multiple locations to put your dream home, a cabin, or whatever on. This property has everything in the making of a big buck factory. Wow, what a great property we just got done looking at. If you want to take a tour of this or need more information, please give me a call. Again, Travis Homley with United Country Midwest Lifestyle Properties and UC Hunting Properties, 608-697-3349. Looking forward to helping you out.